Part 4 of Macho as the Knight of the Round Table, such as he is. So, in Louisville, outside of Louisville, I had swam in a little man-made lake and got so happy. I had been a lap swimmer all the time I was in Nashville. Not a strong swimmer, but it was very, very soothing. It would slow my mind down. But in that little man-made lake, I got so happy. The light, the weightlessness of it, and the going back to one. And I remembered that the summer camp I used to take my kid to in northern Wisconsin, I would swim long, long, long ways in that lake and get so happy. And that when I lived on Lake Michigan in Chicago, ditto. I'd go out before 9 o'clock, before the lifeguards were out and before the chop had started, and swim, 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 and just return to God. So it was there outside of Louisville that I crystallized the vision of, yeah, we're not going to the Southwest U.S. And by the way, we got going too late and it was going to be winter already by the time we hit the Rockies. No, let's go south. Let's go to Mexico. Let's re-up my plan. I'm going to live in a sleepy little beach motorcycle. A lot of motorcycles and scooters and motorbikes in Mexico. I'm going to live in a sleepy little beach community in Mexico where I can be in the water every day. Well, southwest Gulf Coast of Louisiana and then a full year along the Gulf Coast of Texas on the beach, in the water all the time. I said, gee, people over 30 don't go in the water anymore. And if it's calm and you can float, it's so oceanic. And if it's choppy waves, sit in the shallow water and let it throw you around. You return to childhood. It was so much fun. I just had such a blast. And so I realized that's my second product, being in the water with Macho. And I'm aimed now for the Cozumel area. I actually have friends in the city of San Miguel de Cozumel. And my vision is that somewhere out on the Yucatan Peninsula where there's Cancun and La Playa del Carmen and Isla Mujeres and Tulum, somewhere out there I'll find a place where I want to stay for a while and where I can offer that product to people who have time on their hands and money to give me a tip. And then offer it to anybody, and they could tip me with a casserole, you know. So that's my vision, and I'm 3 hours into Mexico now, not by the ocean, but going next to Tampico, which is supposed to be a gorgeous ancient city. And I just found out that some of the street scenes in the treasure of Sierra, because I've been saying, yeah, this is the Sierra Madre Oriental, eastern range here. But the Sierra Nevada Occidental, the western range, are higher, and that's where Treasure of Sierra... No, Treasure of Sierra Madre apparently was filmed in Tampico. My next street scenes were in Tampico, where I'm headed. So that's pretty great. So that's my other product. And don't push, don't try. Show up where you are. I did a little spoof video yesterday morning about, because every place I've gone traveling, in my Google feed, I'll get the 20 things you must do in a weekend in New Orleans. And I spent 3 months there and was incredibly happy in New Orleans and did like 4 of them. So I did a spoof. You can look it up. It's called the 7 Perfect Days in Los Coltrones. If you're broken down in your mechanic shop and can't go anywhere, here's what to do. Walk the dogs. You know, it's big fun. So I love Mexico. It's so much slower, and the people are so sweet. I've been in love with Latino people for a long time. 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I hosted a family of Guatemalan refugees in my apartment for 6 months, and they changed me forever. And in 3 years on the road, if I'm broken down on the side of the road, it's going to be a Latino guy in a pickup truck 80% of the time. Even back in Chicago, even in New Orleans, it didn't matter. In the Rio Grande Valley, where I was for a year, it's 90% Latino, so of course. But sometimes there was 2 Latino women in a sedan, who would stop and give me a jump and stuff. I love Latina people. I love the music. My current thing is juggling. Juggling. I've never been a juggler. For a long time, I think I once bought the book Juggling for the Complete Klutz or something, but never did it. It's because I'm so much more in my body and so much less in my head that I can catch these balls in ways that stagger me. So I've got, on my YouTube, I've got a bunch of videos of me playing hot Latino music and juggling. It's the biggest confirmation to me of how dramatically I've changed. And listen to the birds. I do a lot of videos where I listen to the birds, and the last couple of days I've done a couple of them where I meditate at the base of a huge tree that's out in this field. Just stand against the tree and let the tree's energy pour through me, up from the earth, out through my crown. Mexico supports that. Mexico's a good place for me to be, even though it's been kind of hard with a broken down car. In that 10-minute video about 7 perfect days in Los Contrones, I also talk about the 20 things you must do if your car is broken down behind the Hampton Inn in downtown Victoria for 2 weeks. I love Mexico and I love the Mexican people. And I'm getting a little better with my Spanish. And Black and Latino people recognize me as not your average white guy, someone who loves them. They get it right away. Even in racially polarized Louisville, I used to brag, I can take a 40 to 50-year-old Black woman in 45 seconds from, yeah, what do you want, honky? To, you're so crazy, have a blessed day, because they know I love them. And I kind of talk like them, I certainly dance like them. I've had a very interracial life, including raising a Black kid. And Latino. I love Latino people. Love my house. And after 2 weeks of hanging with middle-class Latino people at the hotel there, middle class, and they've turned themselves into almost middle-class Anglos. I had a great conversation with a young woman who was middle class, but she was all of 17, and she was so eloquent and so well-spoken and interesting. And she said, yeah, it's true that we are way more expressive than Americans. And when we hang with U.S. kids, they're boring. They're boring because they're reserved compared with us. And it's true. I love the realness, the emotionality, the sensuality. And every Latino person I say how much I love Latino people, they always say, not all of us. But as a diversity consultant for so many years, database generalizations, a tendency of a group to be a certain way. If you assume everybody's going to be that way, that's stereotyping. But it can be generally true that Latino people are more real, less ego, less Karen entitled bullshit, sweet, welcoming, genuinely welcoming. They've been so generous to us. Oh my God, the people at that hotel, so sweet and supportive and going so far out of their way to make it work for me when I was broke down there. And my current hosts, awesome. So, good. It only took 40 minutes. I did a video one day where I said, I want to talk about reality. I'll try to knock this out in 2 minutes. It would end up being 10, but it's actually pretty good. But the reality of my life and how we put the society back together when it's so fractured, and I always will consider American society to be my society, my country, even if I never cross north of the border again. The people in the local convenience store said, so you want to live in Mexico? I said, yeah, toda mi vida, the rest of my life. 50 años, 50 years. And they love that. They love that. All right, bye.